"Get off that slide! You don't belong here!" The words tore through the laughter of children like a blade. Heads turned, whispers spread, and a playground once filled with innocence became an arena of cruelty. A little black girl, no older than 8, stood frozen at the top of the slide, her tiny hands clutching the railing. Her dark skin suddenly made the target of ridicule. Phones tilted, mothers gasped, and the ugly truth of prejudice revealed itself in a place meant for joy. And before we go further, hit that subscribe button right now. Comment where you're watching from. Because this story isn't just about a child mocked, it's about justice crashing into arrogance, about a revelation so shocking it silenced an entire town. You don't want to miss this. Her name was Amaya Carter, an 8-year-old with radiant brown skin and hair braided neatly by her mother each morning. She loved playgrounds, swings, and slides. Her laughter was music, her smile an anthem of innocence. But on this day, innocence met hatred. What the other children didn't know, what the cruel parents whispering on the benches didn't realize, was that Amaya's father was no ordinary man. He was Mayor Jonathan Carter, the leader of their city, the man who signed policies, who sat in chambers, who fought for equity in rooms filled with power. But to Amaya, he wasn't the mayor, he was simply Dad. The one who carried her on his shoulders after long meetings, the one who knelt by her bedside and told her she could be anything she dreamed. And yet here she was, mocked and humiliated because of her skin. The playground was crowded that Saturday morning. Parents sipped coffee from paper cups while their children ran across the wood chips. Some slid down brightly painted slides, others clambered over jungle gyms. Amaya had been invited by classmates, but when she arrived, their tone shifted. A few mothers exchanged looks, their eyes narrowing. One muttered beneath her breath, another laughed. Soon, the children mirrored the adults' small voices, echoing venom they had absorbed at home. "She's too dark for our game. Don't touch her. You'll get dirty." The cruelty stung not because of the words alone, but because it came in public. Because every mocking glance from a parent normalized the hate for every watching child. Amaya tried to hide behind the swings, her small frame shrinking, but the humiliation followed her like a shadow. She climbed the slide ladder, hoping to escape into play, but the chorus of ridicule grew. Laughter, whispers, jeers, until she froze. Across the park, a tall man in a tailored navy suit, tie loosened after a morning press conference, walked toward the playground. He had left his security detail at the car, wanting only to surprise his daughter, to share a few minutes of play before the weight of governance called him back. But what he saw as he approached shattered him. Jonathan Carter, mayor of the city, father of Amaya, witnessed the very hate he had spent years battling through laws and advocacy, now directed at the one person he loved most, his daughter, his child. The crowd didn't notice him at first. They only saw a little girl, mocked and cornered. But then he stepped forward. The murmurs died. Phones that had been raised dropped silently. The tall figure of leadership now stood in the sandpit of children's cruelty, and suddenly every smirk, every whisper, every ugly chuckle became a mark of shame. He didn't need to yell. He didn't need to demand. His presence alone was thunder. The realization dawned slowly across the playground. The girl they mocked, the child they shamed, was the mayor's daughter, and their prejudice, their hatred, had not struck down an easy target. It had exposed them. The city would not forget that day. By evening, footage leaked online. A child mocked for her skin. A father, one of the most powerful men in the city, standing in silence as judgment turned back upon the accusers. News stations replayed the scene. Social media boiled. Hashtags trended. Amaya deserves better. Stand with Carter. The very parents who whispered venom were suddenly the subject of national shame. Businesses they owned faced boycotts. Schools called emergency meetings. Politicians who had opposed Jonathan Carter's equality initiatives scrambled to issue statements. What had been playground cruelty became a mirror for a nation, forcing every viewer to confront how racism takes root not in silence, but in the little moments when hatred is passed down like an heirloom. And as for Amaya, her tears dried that evening at home when her father knelt beside her and told her the truth, that her skin was not a burden, but a crown, that every insult hurled at her was proof of her power, and that one day, she would stand taller than those who tried to shrink her. Weeks later, a new law was introduced by Mayor Carter called the Playground Protection Act, mandating anti-discrimination education in schools, requiring playground monitors, and funding programs to teach children respect. It was mocked at first by critics, but the footage of his daughter, the humiliation, the cruelty made it impossible to dismiss. His city became a case study, a model for the nation. And in the hearts of many who watched the video online, something changed. Parents looked at their own children differently, realizing that silence in the face of prejudice is participation in it. Amaya's tears had become the spark of transformation. So when you see injustice, even in the smallest spaces like a playground, remember this story. Because sometimes the laughter of children can reveal the ugliest truths of adults. And sometimes the smallest voice like that of an 8-year-old girl can shake an entire city. Thank you for watching Black Voice Stories. If this story moved you, smash that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment telling us what country you're watching from. Because this isn't just Amaya's story. It's the story of every child who has ever been mocked, shamed, or excluded for the skin they live in. And trust me, the next story we bring, you'll want to be here for it. Because this isn't the end. This is only the beginning.